Hi, I'm Jack Gatlin, and welcome to Beyond the Bar with Jack and Brandon.
So since Brandon really likes me to be boisterous, we are back today for the Jack and Brandon show, and it's a big day in Cincinnati. Brandon's wearing his hoodie. Red's opening day.
Yeah, it's opening day.
And it's interesting.
You're from Louisville.
I was going to say, if you look in the office today, the native Cincinnatians, you, Tony, I'll just go with you two. You had your Reds gear on. Someone else in here had Reds gear on.
Glenda?
Maybe.
Avery?
Maybe. Avery did.
Oh, he was going to the game.
Avery did.
He just
Where those of us, I've embraced the Reds. I follow the Reds, but I don't see today as a holiday like the rest of Cincinnati. But we are here today.
I don't know if it's a holiday. It's a reason that people aren't working.
Well, but we've come up with a lot of those reasons, right? It's either too hot, it's too cold, there's snow, there's rain, there's flu. I think we've created a culture where people are looking for reasons not to work.
True.
All right. But we are here today with our special guest and our absolute newest victim, employee here at Gatlin Volker. Tell us about yourself, Michael.
Well, thank you for having me here, and I'm really happy to be a part of the team.
The show? You're really happy to be a part of the show,
Be a
right?
part of the show and the team.
Okay. The show is really the highlight, though.
Of course, that's the benefit.
Right.
That's how this job was sold to me.
Was the show good?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be joining the firm, though, and to be getting to work with such illustrious company.
Oh my God. Come on, dude. This is the Jack and Brandon show where we keep it real. We're not illustrious. He's in a friggin' hoodie. I'm ready to go play golf. I even got my golf pants on. You're in a full suit. So, Michael, you come to us with a lot of experience. You're young, but you have a lot of experience for the ages you are, and you bring a new license to us. So you are licensed in 3 states: Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio.
Oh yeah, I like to travel around, I guess.
What bar did you take first? Or you took the what's it called now?
The UBE. I benefited from graduating law school at the exact right time to take the UBE, so I took it in Ohio.
So your home state for it was Ohio?
In Ohio, and then transferred into Indiana.
So you went Ohio, Indiana.
Indiana moved a lot faster than Kentucky. I think I did apply to Kentucky first. Indiana took about 2 weeks. That's true.
No, I think they're lower.
Are they?
Yeah, my in-laws live in Indiana.
65 is the max.
I think it is.
You can go faster, though, because the roads are smoother. Indiana took about 2 weeks for me to get my license. Kentucky took about 6 months.
So a part of the Jack and Brandon show is to keep it real. We do a little bit of legal talk. Those are the episodes that don't do real well. The episodes that do better is when we do weird things, like when we had the college basketball show. College football show. So let's just take it down a notch.
All right.
So tell us, when I said who is Michael Woody Rodriguez, you immediately told me that you're a lawyer and you got all stiff and uptight in your suit. All right, people know that we're lawyers. So I want to really know who you are. Like, just tell me where you're from. Tell me about your family. Tell me how you got your name which is an awesome name, Michael Woody Rodriguez. That's almost like you went to the courthouse and changed your name to make it that.
It's almost like.
Although I feel like you should be playing shortstop for the Reds today. So tell me more about the background about yourself.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a husband. I have a beautiful wife, Lorena Woody Rodriguez, who contributed the Rodriguez to my name. She's originally from Puerto Rico, where when you get married, you don't necessarily take your husband's name. So we decided to find a compromise. She kept her name, and I kept my name, and we took each other's names.
So that's interesting. So the custom in Puerto Rico is the wife does not take the husband's name.
No, typically they maintain their own names, and then when you have children, they'll take both names.
Really?
So your firstborn child would take, well, I suppose all your children would take first the father's first last name and then the mother's. So all my children, I expect to be named Woody Rodriguez. And
So you got ahead of that so that
I'm planning ahead.
gotcha.
So
Huh.
So you had to go to the courthouse and change your name.
I did.
Now you gotta be able to vote because I know they changed some of these voting laws. They've made it a little harder.
Yeah,
if your birth certificate's not the same.
Do
as
you have
your
a real
driver's
ID
license.
that says that?
Yeah.
That real ID thing's coming soon too, I
Right.
think.
Yeah, it is right. Well,
I'm flying in April. Do I need my passport, or am I still go with my normal?
I think
Passport should be fine.
Well, no, but
think.
I if I don't bring it, because I don't. When's the last day to use my regular license? May what? May 1st. We're getting help from our producer.
It's because you're traveling here soon.
I'm traveling in April, so I just didn't know if I
You
could
gotta
bring
get
it.
that right.
So do you have a real ID? I mean, so did you change everything? Then?
I have not actually changed my license yet. It's the one thing that I haven't
Ooh,
done.
you get pulled over. You might be looking at time.
But I do have the bar card that reflects that. So
Oh, that'll get you.
I'll just
Yeah,
show
that-
them. Yeah.
That'll get you shackled for sure.
But yeah, I went down to the courthouse. It was a shockingly simple process. No one even looked at me strangely. So I guess I could have gotten away with a much weirder name. But that was the start of the paperwork.
I mean, that's so we'll give a little legal advice here. That's something people don't know, right? I mean, you literally can go to the courthouse and you could change your name to Bugs Bunny.
I think don't you have to have a court when you do a divorce, it says usually the wife shall be restored. to her
District
maiden
judges
name.
has to sign the document.
So if you just go that a judge has got to sign off.
Right, but they just do it. I don't think there's any qualitative standard or anything.
They just opened the door to Chambers. I walked back. He said, "Are you drunk? Are you trying to hide your identity? Do you owe taxes?" I said, "No." And he signed it and handed it back to me.
I wonder if that's really the three parts of the statute, or he was just being funny.
Probably is.
I had to submit an affidavit about it too. So
I wonder if
there's-
Prince did that when he turned himself into a symbol. Remember Prince had that period of time that he went by a symbol?
Yeah, is that why Kanye now is Yee?
I think Kanye's just Yee because Kanye's Kanye.
speeds up filling out forms.
True.
Fewer
Yee.
letters.
Well, you haven't done that to yourself.
Oh no.
Your poor children filling out a Scantron Woody Rodriguez. They're going to have to shorten one of those.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm
Woody
finding it
Rod.
harder now to fit my name on in my signature block whenever I file something.
So you're signing things, Michael Woody Rodriguez.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
It's my name.
That's awesome. That's
You
really
can't even
cool.
read my signatures.
Yeah, mine.
Oh, yeah. To me, it's Michael Woody Rodriguez. I don't know if it is to anyone else. Trying to
Actually,
decipher
I'll
it.
be honest. We just like calling you Woody here at the office.
Oh, that's fine.
I think that's just a good name. Just Woody.
To be honest,
Let's
if
see
your
if Woody
name's,
can cover that for us.
if you're a kid from the '90s named Michael, there's at least two other in whatever class you grew up in. So you were never Michael. You were some sort of nickname, and I was always Woody.
Yeah, so you like
there's,
Woody.
I think there's still
So you've
people from
embraced
high school
Woody.
who don't know that's not my first name.
Yeah,
So I will embrace Woody.
it's a good name. It's a good name.
So we called you Woody before you even knew they called you that in high school.
It comes naturally.
That was good. So we knew we didn't offend you then. It was a high school.
All right, so you've told us about your wife. You've told us about Puerto Rico, the way you rolled that R at the beginning there.
That's the official way to pronounce it.
Puerto Rico. What do you do
I'm
for
not sure
fun?
you're rolling them right, but okay.
Puerto Rico. What do you do for
It's
fun?
getting worse.
Need some.
If he keeps repeating it, I'm sure
Yeah,
he'll
it's
figure it out
going
eventually.
downhill fast. I'm going to give him a breathalyzer if he keeps talking.
For fun, I'm a big reader. I know, hard to do after a day of reading contracts and writing motions, but big reader, especially history, fantasy, as well as big sports fan.
So history, fantasy. So fantasy would be like J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh yeah, Lord of the Rings. There's some good modern ones. There's some combinations. Sci-fi, fantasy. I've been recently reading books from the Warhammer 40K
Okay.
universe, which is
Sure.
sci-fi.
I knew it
fantasy.
as a video game.
It's got video games. It's got tabletop games.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of impressive how obsessed some people are with it. I'm enjoying it a lot. I don't know if I want to make the financial investment that some people make into all the games and all that.
You're in a world I don't exist in. So what do you mean the
Right.
financial investment of all the games?
Well, principally the main game is actually a tabletop game
Okay. I think I
with-
may have known that.
where you use miniatures of
Yeah.
the characters that you
Yeah.
play with throughout the
Yeah.
game. They are not cheap.
Right. They're like little Peter characters or something, right?
They're, I think they're now just plastic.
Okay.
But they'll charge you like $60 for a single piece of plastic, and then you have to paint it yourself.
And a dog eats it, and you got a torn up piece of plastic.
There you go. So I'm not sure I'm willing to drop that kind of money on a plastic action figure for a game. But I've been enjoying the books, and I have played some of the video games as well.
I got you. So what are some of your favorite video games?
Oh, that's difficult.
Because there's a lot in that genre.
Oh, yeah. The one that sticks with me is Red Dead Redemption 2. So
Don't know. You're younger than me.
that's a cowboy game.
My idea of fantasy video games would have been like the Ultima series.
Okay.
Brandon probably doesn't know what I'm talking about. He wasn't as nerdy.
Wasn't
as
there
me.
Legend of Zelda?
Oh yeah, Legend of
Legend
Zelda. That
of
was for
Zelda.
Nintendo.
Yeah, I played it maybe a few times.
Yeah.
I was more of a Tecmo Bowl person.
Yeah, I like those too. I'm a little more multicultural when it comes to my stuff.
Oh, there you
I was into Dungeons and Dragons as a kid.
go. Okay. My dad always played it. I remember him having probably 5 different crates of just
I didn't get
campaign
into it
material.
that much. But I dabbled in it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed a lot of that kind of stuff. Myst was the big fantasy game when I was in college.
Okay. I've heard of it, but I don't really know much
In
about it.
fact, if we really want an interesting story,
There you go.
I'm 99% sure this is correct. And if Mom ever actually watched the podcast, she would be able to verify
This might be a
point.
story when you were conceived.
No. So,
Under Myst.
your mother had someone had given her the video game Myst, or she had bought it and she couldn't get it to work for her computer. So one of the first times that I was able to actually convince your mom that I had some value beyond being the guy that just stalked her in college was I tried to get Myst installed on her computer, of which I did not succeed. But we had another classmate who was smarter than me that was able to get Myst installed. I'm pretty sure that's the story. April, if you're listening, let me know. I know you'll never be watching this. But I'm going way back, like early 90s here.
Like you probably weren't even born.
I probably wasn't.
So, I know you have another weird thing, so too. So, not weird. We all are weird.
You can say it's weird.
No, I think weird is good. We all have to embrace our own weirdness. But we have a lot of people that work for us, and they go months, if not years, and they never decorate their office.
Mm-hmm.
You've been here less than 48 hours, and you already have everything up in your office,
Oh, yeah.
including 2 maps.
Oh, yeah. So
So tell us about your affinity for cartography.
it's always been
That's pretty impressive from a public school kid, isn't it? Affinity for
You know, we use that
cartography.
because with a city manager that
Yes.
we met who was into cartography, and that was like the first time either of us ever heard of it.
I think you were telling me about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I grew up collecting maps. My grandmother got me into it when I was little. She subscribed me to some children's geography magazine that I would get every month, and I would have a map of each state. And I just got really into maps. I just loved looking at them and studying them. And now that I'm older, I can have an appreciation that there's a bit of an art form to them. So in my office, I have one true map, which is one I purchased a few years
So
ago.
wait a minute, time out. One true map. Are not all
Well,
maps true?
Well, one's
You mean
in
like
carving.
Oh.
So I have one that's a legitimate map meant for navigating and so on and so forth, which is from 1745 from France. That was as part of their national survey depicting Burgundy. And then I have a carving that was gifted to me back in law school. I interned for the U.S. Army JAG Corps out of Fort Huachuca in Arizona, and they presented me a carving of the state of Arizona with a star where Fort Huachuca was at that I also have hanging there.
What got you into maps?
Like I said, my grandma signed me up for that magazine, and I just started getting all these maps. I suddenly had 50 maps for each state, and
That's cool. Actually, you know what? That's interesting. So there was some program where like every month they sent you a map or something?
it was like National Geographic was doing it, or Nat Geo Kids, where it would have a map. It would be a very simple one of each state, and it would have like fun facts, and it would highlight
I remember
iconic
that.
locations. So I would get those and I would just sit there and read all the different information that kind of turned into, because I was definitely the cool kid in school.
I guess that's why I'm really
reading
dumb.
atlases.
My mom got me the sporting news.
I'm multicultural. We did National Geographic. I do remember those maps. We always had National Geographics. I had Sports Illustrated. We had all kinds of stuff.
Is there a map that like predates Columbus that's just flat like a dinner plate? That shows that you're gonna fall off.
Sure.
Well, the ancient Greeks knew that the Earth was round. The interesting thing with
You know what?
really old
Listen,
maps-
time out here. You haven't learned. We don't get into controversial topics here at Gatlin Volker.
That
so
once
we're
wasn't
not
controversial.
we're not taking the position that the Earth is round.
I'm not saying that, but the ancient Greek philosophers
Okay,
put
let's
forward
put
that
that in there
idea.
because we don't like to talk politics. We don't like to get into controversy.
I'm just saying the ancient Greek stuff.
All right.
I'm not saying that we, as Gatlin Volker, have taken that position.
Okay.
And our producer's not gonna go to the Gulf of America for spring break.
No. When you look at the really old maps, though, it's interesting because they weren't so much meant for navigation at the time. People weren't traveling in the same way. And travel back then was more, you go to the next village over and ask them directions. So they were more meant to display ideas. So there's a really famous one of that many European maps showed Jerusalem as the center of the world, and it would be round. And the whole focal point was really just on where the Holy Land was and trying to tell a story. So you'd see Africa kind of in a weird position because they wanted to bring it closer to Europe because they believed Prester John, who was a mythical Christian king, lived in Africa. So
I like maps. I'll be honest. Like I think we have a whole generation of people who wouldn't even know how to read a map. And you're like right on that line. Like you would have never had to use a map to like actually go somewhere.
I never had to. I remember my parents using maps, and I remember when my dad first got a GPS in his truck, and how excited he was to show it off.
I remember going on vacation. If you were a AAA member,
Yeah,
you got
you
a
go
trip
AAA.
tick.
You
You got
gotta
a
go
trip
put-
tick,
yeah,
and you had to have
100%.
multiple ones because you only get so far.
That's right.
And then you had to
And
get another
you'd
trip
get
tick.
everything. You'd get the Best Westerns you could stay at, the Johnson's restaurant, Howard Johnson's restaurants. I mean, I'm really dating myself here. But in all seriousness, we had a phenomenal trip when I was a kid. I was probably 4 years old. And we went all the way out west in a van. All the way out there. Like, we literally did this, like, Chevy Chase 5,000-mile trip in 2 weeks. And I remember having all those little trip ticks up, and I remember as a 4-year-old like reading these maps, and I was like looking at the exits, and like
You're an only child. Why did you need a van?
I don't know.
Did you have sleep van?
It's actually a good question. I'm not sure why we had a van.
Seemed
We always had
overkill.
vans. We always had vans as a kid. I don't know. I see that van was filled with all my imaginary friends. So we had a whole van load going out west.
This all explains a lot.
It may have predated Cabbage Patch Kids. Probably did. Cabbage Patch Kids would have came out after I went out west. Else I would have probably had my little Cabbage Patch Kids with me.
You had a Cabbage Patch Kid?
100% too. Emma seen them. Huh?
You passed them on?
No, astronaut.
Astronaut.
They made boy one?
100%.
You didn't have stuffed animals?
When I was a baby.
Maybe now we know Brandon's issues.
Yeah.
Right? You need to
My
love
sisters
on
had- my
the
It
sisters
sounds
stuffed
had
like you
animals.
missed some critical
My
developments.
sisters had Cabbage Patch
We
Kids.
struggle with the empathy sometimes
see
with
it.
Brandon because he didn't hug on a little critter when he was.
There you go.
I had Ernie. Ernie would have probably been who went out west with me. I had this little Ernie character. Ernie
Like
went
from
everywhere.
Sesame Street?
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Ernie I was really into Ernie.
No Bert, though.
In fact, we may have lost Ernie at a lake trip in northern Michigan where Ernie kind of got washed away, and I may have been traumatized by that.
Is it all coming out now?
No,
It's
it's all
like
good.
Wilson the volleyball and Tom Hanks.
But as an only child, I had time to read maps too. I've never gotten into maps like you have, but I certainly have a fascination for geography and travel and just even like you give me some weird city name in this country and I could probably tell you what state it is and what interstate's there because I've probably read a map.
Oh, man.
So we have this weird map, but I don't have maps on my walls.
No. Well,
Maybe I
you'll
just
you'll
haven't
get there
embraced-
eventually.
I haven't
Eventually.
embraced that weirdness yet.
You'll get there.
All right.
I'll talk to
So
you.
it is Red's opening day, and Brandon is anxious to go party like it's 1989. Is that the song?
I think
Party
it's
like it's 1980.
99.
99?
That's a Prince song again.
Yeah, you know, when you play with the Cabbage Patch Kids, Dungeons and Dragons, and read maps, I was probably listening to like Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton or something. Maybe a little Conway Twitty. I don't know.
So
There's
you're
nothing wrong
driving
with
in a van with a bunch of imaginary friends. The Cabbage Patch Kid is
Nope, they
usually
hadn't come out
under
yet.
your arm,
No, it's-
and your mom and dad are jamming the Islands in the Stream.
you got it. You got it. I'm ready to go back. I'm ready.
Hit me with a hammer now.
So let's at least tell us kind of what type of legal work you do, kind of what you want to do, and kind of what you plan on doing here.
Absolutely. I'd say my three main areas are criminal defense,
Mm-hmm.
family law, and then civil litigation. I find a lot of joy in all of them, I think.
A lot. That's a tough way to put that.
Well, let me say I find some joy in some of them.
Sure.
but
But I think that's important. So you have a passion and zeal for actual, real courtroom work.
yeah, I think that's what makes being a lawyer fun, is getting in the courtroom.
And I appreciate that because Brandon and I are absolute real trial attorneys. But a lot of lawyers, I feel like, go through law school and then they're afraid to ever even step foot in a courtroom.
It can be intimidating, and especially when it's a bit of an absurd idea. You come into the office every day, you work hard, trying to accomplish someone, and then someone else comes into their office every day, and their job is to prevent you from doing what you're trying to do. So I think some people get caught
Or they're
off guard.
working from home.
Or they're working from home. It's 2025. But someone is actively trying to prevent you from achieving your job. I think that throws some people off and makes them uncomfortable, but I think it makes it really interesting. It makes the job really dynamic and requires you to be creative with how you approach situations.
So any final thoughts about some odd fact or unique fact about you? I mean, you've given us a lot today, and that's why I've opened up and shared a little bit too.
Unique facts.
Sometimes less is best.
Well, we'll further isolate Brandon from our childhoods.
Mhm.
My stuffed animal that I took everywhere was a stuffed shark I got from SeaWorld.
Oh, 100%. I'm right
Named
there.
Shark.
Dude. I'm right there with you. 100%.
You had a shark from SeaWorld?
100%.
Oh, yeah.
I had a shark from SeaWorld, and then I had a dolphin from SeaWorld, and I had a shamu from SeaWorld.
I never got to go to SeaWorld. So
Wow.
you all
I was
just-
in the dolphin
You know
show.
what? If you would have had the van and Islands of the Stream,
I-
you could have gone all these cool places.
No, I get it now. You all just flaunting your childhood tourism.
I got to be in the dolphin show at SeaWorld when I was really little. I was too short to reach into the dolphin tank,
Yeah.
So they threw you in.
so they threw me in. Yeah, they came over and said, "Hey, do you want to come with us?" Which probably in modern day is a little scary. But yeah, so they took me, and all of a sudden they walked me out on stage, and there was a whole arena around me of people watching, and they just had the dolphins jump around over me and had me throw fish at them.
Would have been kind of crazy if like dolphin undershot and knocked the kid off.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I remember the photographer fell in though, which I still to this day do not know if that was
I
part of the
bet
show.
your
or
mom
not.
still has that shark.
I bet she does.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I bet your mom still has that shark.
that went with me everywhere. It's stitched up every hole.
Now we're in the majority here because
Yeah.
our producer has hundreds of stuffed animals, thousands of stuffed animals. How many SeaWorld animals do you have, Emma?
I don't have anything from SeaWorld.
You know?
I've only been to SeaWorld once. Disney now.
The aquarium? You had fish from the
Oh
aquarium.
yeah, a lot. Probably like at least 12.
So you still have a bunch of stuffed animals though?
She hangs them in a room. Squishmallows.
Oh, the Squishmallows are big.
You know what? I think I could retire on the Squishmallow collection that we have at our house between her and Reese. Madeline's less into Squishmallows, it seems like.
Do you pull them off the wall and play with them?
No, it's like a collection.
Oh, that's good.
They like sit in the corners.
She has them like nets in the corners of her room with all the Squishmallows.
Mm.
Kind of. That's Reese that does that, isn't it? That's you too. How many else? How many Squishmallows do you think we have at a house?
At least 60.
That you have? I'm saying as a household.
60.
80? You think more than 80?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can't say if my wife's pulling those numbers, but she's got a
I don't
pretty good
even know
collection.
how you know whether you've had that Squishmallow or not. Like they all look the same.
They have,
What? Tell me what? Let's go there.
they all have names.
Okay.
Like on their little card, and it tells you like information about them.
That's what was that? You would have probably known about that. The stuffed animals that had the video game.
Webkins.
Webkins.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
Webkins too.
They all had their name. That was great. See? He doesn't understand.
He
but
doesn't.
For my generation, stuffed animals were enhanced. We even had a video
I
game.
heard a beanie.
Teddy Ruxpin was my generation.
I have no idea what that
It was,
is.
it was a talking bear.
Right, it was an enhanced stuffed
It was
animal.
like, hello, my name is Teddy Ruxpin. How
You
are
be my
today?"
friend.
Yeah. And then you had that Chucky doll. That was a movie.
Yeah, that was not like a lovable stuffed animal.
It was lovable to some people.
For the right person.
Well, again, welcome. We appreciate everything you're going to offer us. We appreciate having someone help us in the courtroom. We appreciate 3 licenses. That's awesome. And I appreciate someone who's going to help me embrace some of my inner weirdness.
There we go.
So welcome. And let's set a goal for this podcast because we got a lot of gold in this one. I think this is going to be a top 5 podcast so far.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you.